Hey everyone, back with Genesis chapter 15. Yes, we're left off at talks about God's covenant with Abram. It says, after these things the word of the Lord came to Abram in a vision. Fear not, Abram, I am your shield, your reward shall be very great. But Abram said, O Lord God, who is Christ of course, what will you give me? For I continue childless, and the heir of my house is Eleazar of Damascus, meaning she was from Syria, of course. And Abram said, Behold, you have given me no offspring, and a member of my household will be my heir. And behold, the word of the Lord came to him, This man shall not be your heir, your very own son shall be your heir. And he brought him outside and said, Look towards heaven, meaning looking up, and number the stars, if you are able to number them. Then he said to him, So shall your offspring be. He believed the Lord, and he counted it to him as righteousness. Man, what he's talking about is, he's saying, Abraham, your offspring are going to be as numerous as the stars of heaven, in the sky, and as numerous as the sand on the seashore. He's telling Abraham that your offspring are going to be so numerous that you won't even be able to count them all. It's amazing. And he said to him, I am the Lord who brought you out from Ur of the Chaldeans, which is Iraq today, to give you this land to possess, which is Israel. But he said, O Lord God, how am I to know that I shall possess it? He said to him, Bring me a heifer 3 years old, a female goat 3 years old, a ram 3 years old, a turtle dove, and a young pigeon. And he brought him all these, cut them in half, and laid each half over against the other. But he did not cut the birds in half. And when birds of prey came down on the carcasses, Abram drove them away. As the sun was going down, a deep sleep fell on Abram, and behold, dreadful and great darkness fell upon him. Then the Lord said to Abram, Know for certain that your offspring will be sojourners in a land that is not theirs, and will be servants there, and they will be afflicted for 400 years. Some of the exile, of course. But I will bring judgment on the nations that they serve, and afterward they shall come out with great possessions. As for yourself, you shall go to your fathers in peace. You shall be buried in a good old age, and they shall come back here in the 4th generation, for the iniquity or the sins of the Amorites is not yet complete. When the sun had gone down and it was dark, behold, a smoking firepot and a flaming torch passed between these pieces. On that day the Lord made a covenant with Abram, saying, To your offspring I give this land from the river of Egypt, which is the Nile River, to the great river, the river Euphrates, which is Iraq today. So think about that. Israel is actually supposed to go from the Nile River all the way to the Euphrates River in Iraq. That's how big Israel's supposed to be. That's amazing. But of course, it's not that big because you got the Palestinians there, Jordan. All those other Muslim nations are surrounding Israel, but Israel is supposed to go from the Nile River in Egypt all the way to the Euphrates River in Iraq. So that's how big Israel's supposed to be. So it's supposed to be a huge nation, but it's not. It's actually a small nation because all the Muslim nations surround it. But anyway, it says to your offspring I give this land from the river of Egypt to the great river, the river Euphrates. The land of the Kenites, the Kizzites, the Kedamites, the Hittites, the Pezerites, the Rephaim, the Amorites, the Canaanites, the Gershites, and the Jezebites. So, what God's saying is, Abram, he's saying that whenever Israel enters the land, of course, after the Exodus, when they enter the land of Canaan, which is where the Satanists and paganists are right now, God's going to send Israel to the land to destroy those Satanists and paganists, so that God can give the land to Israel, to the Jews. And like I said, Israel is supposed to go from the Nile River in Egypt all the way to the Euphrates River in Iraq. So it's supposed to be a huge land, but of course it's not because of the Muslim nations there that surround Israel. But yeah, that's pretty much it for chapter 15. So I'll be back with chapter 16 very shortly.